Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're listening and tuning in. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Preparing to Quantum Leap in the season of letting go. I am your host, Darla, and you are tuned into the 30 Journey. Guys, thank you for tuning in to another day. Thank you for joining me for day 13. And it's so funny because I'm finding out some very interesting things about the number 13 as of late. I'm not someone that really believes in luck or anything like that. I think it's more superstitious, which I kind of try to steer away from. But I do find some of the things that are associated with this number to be very interesting. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about signs, and one specifically that I made for myself when I felt compelled to remember something and take it with me on my journey. 5 years ago in 2019, I remember I was working one day and I was at my desk. I don't remember exactly what I was doing. I'm pretty sure I have an audio journal entry talking about this specific moment. I would just have to look through the archives. But I remember I was at my desk at my job and I was compelled to write down something that had came to my mind. I don't know why this was so important, but I remember when I was sitting there and I was thinking about this particular, quote, phrase, whatever, it didn't seem like it was something that I needed to take with me. It just was like, okay. But oddly enough, I felt the Holy Spirit leading me to write this down. So I wrote it down on a Post-it note, put it on my computer at my desk, and just kept it there. And then about a month later, for whatever reason, I felt compelled to turn it into a sign. And I'm like, this is not something that I just really want to remember or think that's so important. It didn't feel like one of those things that was going to really change my life. But oddly enough, it did. I remember sending this off to be framed and to create something really nice to put in my office at the time. And again, it still didn't really stick at that time. But as I was journeying and as I was seeing that on my wall every day, it started to unfold regarding what it meant. So I had a sign created and it says, "The key to breaking through to your entire dream is to focus. You master this, you master your entire life. Eat, breathe, live to learn to focus." And I remember even grammatically, I was like, again, we can switch some things up. And I just remember the Holy Spirit like, no, remember this just as it is and print it out just as it is. Because I was like, eat, live, breathe, to learn, to focus. It just wasn't hitting. It wasn't until maybe about 2 years ago, within me moving to Dallas or preparing to move to Dallas, that it started to make a lot of sense. In the first 3 years of my 30 journey, I found myself really getting intentional about my eating habits. I started detoxing, I started fasting, I started eliminating so many different things from my diet and adding so many healthy things in. And as someone who was dealing and still deals at times with anxiety, I realized what this was doing for me. And within changing all of those things, it allowed me to learn how to focus. I was able to understand the benefits of what this meant, not only mentally, but physically as well. The next was breathing. I know breath work and just that term in general gets a lot of Christians and a lot of believers in a tizzy. But I want to tell you something, and I said this before and I'm going to say it again. In Genesis, it talks about how God breathed life into Adam's nostrils. Understand that something as simple as breathing properly will change your life, especially if you recognize that you haven't been doing this for so long. And anyone who has experienced any type of anxiety, who's experienced panic attacks, who's even experienced being in labor delivering a child, one of the main things that they teach you and tell you how to do properly is breathe. And I realize that even within so many things that have been, twisted and manipulated to be evil, negative, or demonic, understand what it was created as at its core. In understanding how to learn how to breathe properly, it also led me into being able to focus. And the last part of that sign said, live to learn to focus. Right now, we're in this 21-day journey where I've been telling you guys about certain things that I've been eliminating, certain things that I have been doing within this time. All of what I've learned within the eating and the breathing has given me life within living to learn to focus. Focusing requires practice. And if you really want to be able to focus in a lot of different areas in your life, that's something you have to put into practice every day for extended periods of time. And right now, like I told you and tell you guys all the time, we are in an age and in a time where one of our biggest enemies right now is distractions. Granted, we have been distracted regarding social media and so many different things within tech, AI, technology, and entertainment for a very long time. But at the end of the day, I don't see the distractions hitting as hard as they're hitting today. I'm sorry, I don't. But focusing and really allowing yourself to know what that means and living this out, again, that requires practice, and that requires being a good steward of your time. Again, something that I'm journeying through right now within this 21 days. Sometimes my days still get away from me even within being organized because life is lifing. But at the end of the day, I do recognize that even though the sign didn't make a lot of sense then, it makes so much sense now. And I'm living it out and realize that I have been living it out for years. Recognize when something is calling and tugging at you and trying to get your attention, there's a bigger reason and there's a bigger purpose at hand. I actually gave my sign to one of my relatives, and I'm excited to see how it unfolds for them. Because the eating, the breathing, the living to learn to focus for me is still unfolding, and it looks one way. And for them, it might look completely different. But it is displaying on a larger scale my journey as a whole. And I love that for me. This is really just a reminder to pay attention to the signs. I had no idea, like I said, why it was so important for me to write that little quote down and take it with me on the journey and not forget it for whatever reason. But to watch this play out in real time and to see it unfold has been truly, truly beautiful. I hope you guys enjoyed day 13. If you did, make sure to like this. Do not forget that. That helps out so much. And until next time, guys, take care. Talk soon.